All right, next we're going to put our reverse input drum together. On these seals, they are lathe cut. They're square or rectangular seals. Really, they're not like a lip seal, like most of them. We'll put these on here. Now, if you're doing an older one, an AOD, these would not be stamped. These would be cast drums, and you'd need special tools to put these in. But since these are a stamped steel drum, the edges are nice and smooth. The outer edges are nice and smooth. You don't have to worry about having a install kit. The older ones, with the cast ones, have extremely sharp edges, and you do need the installers to put these in all your drums. After the piston's in, now if you remember, this has got a bevel plate. Underneath this, we have a ring, so the aluminum piston rides on this so it doesn't wear out the piston. We'll get that put into place. And then the retaining ring is this big, thick, wavy one. And we'll put that in there, and that holds the bevel spring in, or the cushion spring in. And sometimes this takes a little bit of manipulation. Oh wow, we cannot talk today. And tap in all the way around. All the way around. All right. Now with that in place, we'll put our clutches in. Now if you remember right, we're doing heavy duty. These are Crolene, what's called Crolene steels, which give it a little bit better grip on the clutches. And the clutches that we're putting in are the blue plate clutches. We'll start this. The bottom one has a bevel which matches the spring in the bottom. That goes in first. And the clutch, if you notice, these are all pre-soaked. Still, clutch, still, and so forth. And your top ring. The only time this is engaged, is in reverse. And then you have the overdrive band on the outside. Now, there's some snap rings that are really close. One for the forward and one for the reverse input. If you notice, one is just a little bit bigger than the other one. The little bit bigger one is for your forward. And this is the direct in here, or direct, reverse input. And check our clearance, and it looks like we're doing good. Now on the back side of this, we've got our intermediate sprag. Now, he changed this from the roller style to the mechanical style. Even if you're doing the roller or the mechanical, you need to upgrade the snap ring for these. In certain instances, this drum will go to high RPMs and spin extremely fast. And what happens is I don't have the snap ring. I don't know what happened. What happens? This is not the snap ring. The snap ring that holds this in will expand and come out. And so we get rid of this style of snap ring and we put this in. What this is a little teeny cup. It's got a lip on the outside of it. We'll put that on, and then we'll install, if I can show you, the spiral snap ring. So we'll put this in, and this helps it from the snap ring from coming out. Because if the snap ring comes out, it causes a lot of damage. Now once this is in place, as I said, it has a lip on the outside of it. What you need to do is in 4 places, what you need to do is just lightly tap this lip over to help hold the snap ring. You only need to do it in 4 places. I've seen a lot of people who smash it all the way around. There's no reason for that. 4 places, that'll hold it in place. So that's ready to go. That's the reverse input. Now we'll do the direct. Okay, we've got our direct here. This is the drum that's at the very, very bottom, very, very small. There is a lip seal on the inside of here. Remember, we had to replace the bushing and line up the hole. And a lip seal on the outside of this. Now these are standard lip seals. They weren't not like the reverse one that had the lathe cut ones. Now to get this one on, just kind of carefully take a pick and work it down. Let me get a little bit better shot of this. See if you can get your pick underneath it. You can slowly kind of work it down into the groove. It's way down at the bottom. Okay, now what I do is I take, see if I can kind of show you this, take my pick and then slowly go all the way around to make sure the lip seal is there, just like that. Okay, we'll apply lube on the outside and the inside. Same thing on the piston. Okay, you don't need a lot. As I said, on the older ones, this will be stamped steel or cast iron, and you'll have to have a special tool to put these in. These newer ones have rounded edges and are a lot easier to put in. I'll get the tools here in a second and I'll show you the tools used to put these together. Now there's that. And you see there are different tools. This would be the outside of one to that. This would be the tool for the direct. And this would be the tool for the forward. What you do is you put your lip seal on here and you would set it in like that. You set it in your drum and you push it down. If you don't have these for these early AODs, you will not be able to put these together and you will cut your seals in half. So if you're doing an AOD, make sure you have those tools. All right, we'll put our snap or our spring in here and set it in the arbor press and install our snap. Get it on the arbor press. Set the tool on it. Press it down. And wow. And install the snap ring just like that. All right, we got the snap ring in. We'll do the same thing here. What I'm going to do is stack it first. We're doing the blue plates with the Crolene stills. The blue plates are already soaked, so we'll be getting rid of the standard stills, but we'll have the same backing plate. Now what I'm going to do is stack this first. Still clutch, all the way up. Oh, let me give me a different one. They actually gave me one of the wrong ones. We'll set this in here and we'll install the snap ring and we'll check our clearance. Let me, okay, I looked up my specs to double check. I wanted to make sure it's 60 to 80 thousandths on this one, and what this is an 80 thousandths drill bit. And you see it won't barely fit under there, so we're barely into specs. We'll be good on this. So I'm okay with that. Okay, now that I've got that measured out and we're good on the clearance, I do need to take it apart again so I can put a hub in here, and what I'll show is how to do that. Now, if you remember the bearing, there was a bearing that was bad, and what I decided to do is just get, since it's going to be a rock crawler and take a lot of abuse, I just got a whole bearing kit. These are all brand new. We're going to replace all of them. Now in this, it's got a spacer at the bottom, and it has this nice big thick bearing here. And then this hub, the bigger hub, we've got two of them. We've got a small one and a big one. Small hole and a big hole. Big hole goes in the bottom. And now we will stack our clutches in again. With this hub in, it's really hard to check the clearance. So that's why I leave it out for the first time, so I can make sure my clearance is good. We'll get this stacked all the way up. Okay. All right, there's our direct drum. That's all ready to go. Now we'll do our forwards. Okay, we got our forwards here. Remember, we put our sealing rings on here. I still have that on there to keep them compressed. Now on this one, the piston takes the seals. Both are lip seals on this. The outer and the inner. If I can get it to cooperate, I'll get it in here. Now remember, when you're doing this, you always got to check for the crack around here. I believe I put a picture in earlier in the video. If not, I'll put a picture in now of showing one that is broken. And a little bit of lube on the outside. And on the end. Same thing on our pistons. You have to push that inner lip seal in first because it gets caught on the snap ring groove. And then carefully get the lip seal all the way around the forwards. Always got to go back and forth. You never know. Just be careful when you're doing this not to cut your lip seals. They are very, very delicate. This will cut your seal in half when you're putting it in if you're not careful. If you're trying to force it too fast, it will cut it. Now this has the big inner spring and a little hat there. We will put our tool on there and compress this down just like so. And we will install the said snap ring. Oh. All right. Now, normally, well, what I'm going to do is, these are the old ones I'm taking out. There's the bottom wave plate, the stills, and then the top plate, the backing plate. But as like before, I'm putting the Crolene stills in this. The thing is I didn't realize it till a while ago. The clutches they gave me are for the reverse input. They didn't give me the ones that are for the forward, so I don't have those yet. I've had to order them. It's been over a week and I still haven't got them. I'm gonna have to call them today. If I remember right, they can't get me the blues. These in the Ford's going to be red frictions. So I'll put this together and we'll put the clutches in when I get them. Hopefully this week, because I've had this tranny for 3 weeks now. I'll put the snap ring in here just to show it, or just to put this together. Keep it all one. Now I'll start putting the transmission together. Well, I went and called them, and they did have the clutches, and they were actually able to get me blues. So, you know, it's been a couple hours. For me, for you, it's just been a few minutes. We'll get this stack together again. Wavy, Chlorine seal, clutch, Chlorine, just back and forth until we get all the way to the top. Install our plate and our snap ring. Quite a bit of play, did I? Well, we'll set it in and check our clearance for specs. And well, we can't get it underneath, so we're all good. Now that we've got these, we'll start getting the tranny all the way together. As you can see, I got my case hung. I do need to put the rear shaft together with the ring gear. On the rear shaft, there is 3 rings here, and there are 2 for the direct drum down here. In later models, they give you solid, they give you solid rings. They're usually blue. These are scarf cut. Again, you'd put the rings on there and you'd size them. Since these are scarf cut, I can just put these right on like that. You want to make sure, kind of squeeze it together, that the cuts are on the opposite side of each other. Okay. Put this in. Now this one has a thin snap ring on the back, but if you look at it, it's slightly wavy. I don't know if you can see that there. It's got a slight wave to it. That goes right there. And then there are 3 metal rings that interlock. Put those in. Unlock each one of them. This is for lube and your rear drum for your third or direct. Older models, this would be for your direct and your governor. There would be one more ring. Again, all where they lock together, put them a third away from each other, so it's a third, so they're not right next to each other. Okay, we've got our bearings and stuff. We'll put the camera over the case and we'll start putting everything in. Get our bearing for the rear bottom and we'll stick it way down there. Now, like anything, I've always told you, you need to put a little lube. If I can get my squirt ball, we'll squirt. A little bit of lube down in the bottom. Especially with these, you should always make sure that you put, get my snap ring down there. You should always make sure everything is properly lubed. These sometimes this takes up to 10 seconds for the lube circuit to actually get fluid back to some of these things. So if you don't have lube on it before you start them up, you could fry the bearing as soon as you, or the bushings as soon as you turn it on. Now this snap ring right here, what that does is it holds your rear band flat. If not, it would try to tilt and it would be really hard to get the rear planetary system in it. There'll be a bearing on the back of your direct drum. Okay, this is your direct. What we'll do is we'll put a little tacky lube and we'll tack this on right here. So I got our bearing on here. Now, just like before, we need to put some lube down on that because it does take about 10 seconds for lube to get down there, and we don't want to fry our bushings that we just put in. Set that right in there. Now, on an earlier one, on AOD, the drum has to be put in before this because the drum won't fit past this ring gear. So you have to put it on the output shaft, then the ring gear, and then the snap ring that holds the ring gear to the output shaft. That's about the only difference. Now for our planetary system. The planetary system, what we do is we need to put our low roller clutch right here, and then we have our center support. What we want to do is put a little lube, if we can, a little lube right on our bushing there. Okay. Bushings are a little tight. There we go. Just like that. Now we're going to set this whole assembly in at once. If you notice, there's a notch here, right here, and this goes for the overdrive band. I'll show you that. Goes for the overdrive band, a little lug right here. So we'll set this whole assembly in. Before we do that, let's remember, again, we need to put some lube on here or we'll burn the bearings up. So again, now we'll put this planetary system in. And what I do is I grab the output shaft and I work it back and forth until it falls all the way down. As you can see, it's below here. Now we'll install the anti-rattle clip. Goes right here. It just helps to get this from chattering back and forth, because it will if you don't have this in. Okay. Now a snap ring, both of them point up. What I'm going to do is put it right, the ends go on this side, okay, right over the top of the rattle clip. Now if you're doing a 4R75, it'll have a sensor right here that'll come through and it'll read the direct drum as it goes around. This opening goes on this side, because if you're not, this snap ring will be right over the hole. And you won't be able to do that. Your center support will have a cutout right here for it. So if you're doing a 4R75 with a center sensor, the snap ring will go in different. The opening will be on this side, not on this side. Okay? Okay, now this is different. What I usually do is I put the overdrive servo in now, which is a little bit odd, but I'll explain why I do it now. So let me roll it on its back. Now this is the overdrive servo here, and this is the reverse. You can put the reverse in now if you want, because you got your band in there. If you do, we'll do that now just because you've got your band in here. You need to make sure that your band's in the right spot and it hasn't moved. We've got a brand new piston at the bottom for it. Now there's only one spring that's going to fit, and it'll fit right over that. All your other springs will sit on top of that, and it's not the right one. So we'll put that in there like that. And we'll put some lube in here. And I'll put lube on the outside here. What I do is I put this like so, and then put the top one in. You want to be very careful because you can rip the seals by just pushing it past where the snap ring goes. You can rip this seal putting it past where the snap ring goes. You have to be really careful. What I do is I take the back of a hammer and just push it down. Sometimes it's easier said than done. So you get this down. We don't want to. It is a little cool today. That's probably why it's not going down very well. It's only about 60 degrees in here. I want to carefully put that down, and we'll install a snap ring all the way around, just like that. Now with our overdrive, this takes the big one, and that goes in there. Now when you've got everything together and you're trying to push this in, what you have to do is you have to try to hold the band in place while you push this down, and this is quite stout and pretty hard to get in. So what I do is I take a bolt for the output, and I put a little washer there. And I take my my little pry bar and push it down. Now, my kit comes with a new snap ring, which I would replace this. Well, I would replace this snap ring all the time. They always break. Most kits come with new ones now. And we push this down. If I can get my hands to work, let's try my right hand instead of my left. All right, just like so. Now I've got the overdrive in. A lot of people say, no, you can't get it in, but this is the way I've always done this. Let me roll it back up. Now, as you can see, I've got my piston here. With this servo in, you couldn't get this in, so I have to wait till this is in before I can do that. Now, again, I want to put a little lube, and then we want to drop our sun gear down. And then on our sun gear, we have a bearing that goes on top of that for the sun gear. Again, now the next thing we're going to do is put the shell, so we want to put a little more lube. And then we want to put our shell in. Now, like I said, if you're doing this for a 4R75, this shell will not be still. If you notice, if I have a magnet, this is magnetic. If it's a 4R75, this will not be magnetic. Then I will put the bearing, our hub, and then our other bearing. Now the way I found about the overdrive is I put one together and didn't have this in and had to take it back apart, and I didn't want to have to fight with my overdrive servo, so I figured a way to do it without taking taking this apart. So I've always put them together this way now. Much easier to get the band in with it like this. Now I'll put the drum assembly again, or together. There's a bearing that goes here. It's got a lip. This one and the one on the bottom of the case is very, very similar. Make sure you don't get them mixed up. The one on the bottom of the case will be loose a little bit here. So then if you try to put the other one in here, it'll crush everything and it's not good. So make sure you get the right one. I'll put just a little bit of assembly here, and then I'll set this right here on top. Okay. Okay, now we'll take the whole assembly and we'll work it back and forth until we are all down. All right. Now if you look, I left my little thing in there. I'm going to pull that out. Now when you're putting the band in, what you want to do is you want to start on the lug that's stationary in the case. And what I do is I take my needle nose pliers, and you can grab it right here and carefully slide it right down in the spot. It's much easier than trying to hold this band in and push the servo in at the same time. That gets to be kind of tough to get that going. All right, we'll put our intermediates in. Stack every other one. All right, the last one. Notice you're just barely below that. That's just where you should be. We'll get ready to put our pump in. Now on a 4R75, you will have an anti-rattle clip that goes here. They don't have this on the 4R70. Don't know why, but they don't. We're going to put a little lube on our shaft, on our reverse input drum. We'll put a little lube, a little tacky lube, that'll help hold the gasket in place. And then I will get all the way around for the O-ring on the pump. We'll put our gasket down, and you make sure you get this properly put in. Just like make sure everything lines up. You will be covering some holes. If you notice that getting covered, don't worry about that. Just make sure all the holes that you can see. And then install your O-ring and lube it up for your pump. Remember, put your O-ring on here, get it all lubed up, and then we'll set this right in place, just like that. Take a screwdriver and kind of line it up a little bit. What we'll take our bolts, and they'll have a little Loctite. These don't have washers on them like a lot of the transmissions do. They'll have a little seal on the end of it. These do not. What I do is I put them all in with my fingers. Then after we're in, you want to tap it down with a dead ball or a hammer handle or something. You never want to use your gun and run these down. Then we'll get the speed handle, and we will go around and put these down. Now after you speed handle them down, you want to torque these. They are torqued 20 foot-pounds. And you want to do, it's like any other thing, you want to do a star pattern, just like you would a tire on your your car. Just, all right. Oop. All right, now we'll roll it on its back and put the valve body on. Now that we've got it on its back, what we're going to do first is, as I said, we always put new solenoids in here. Brand new EPC. We'll put our EPC right in here. Okay. And on the outside, we need to put our new seal for our shifter. Put that there. And lightly tap that into place. I'll put our parking pole in. What this is, keep the pin here. We got a little spring. And that'll hold right there, and I'll set it underneath, and then I'll get my alignment or my pin and just set it right in like so. Take our park rod and our rooster comb, that. We got our manual valve or manual linkage here that goes to the case. Put a little lube on that so it won't hurt the seal when I put it in. I'll put it right through like that. And I'll tighten the nut. Now these will only go on one way. Now once I got the nut on there, I'll take my wrench and I'll tighten it up. I'll snug it real good. You don't want to put a lot on it because you can break these. They're very, very, well, this one's not as bad as a lot of them, but they are easily broken. And I'll get my pin, put that into place. All right, we've got that in there. We've got our overdrive and our reverse in. We need to put the accumulators in now. Start with the rear one. These come with a whole bunch of different size O-rings. Just make sure you get the right ones that fit on it. Yep, that's it. A little lube, like so. And sometimes the easiest way to put these in is I get my snap ring pliers like this and just kind of hold it and they go right down. And then this will take the smallest of the return springs and it has this little retainer on the end. And you'd think you'd put it this way for the ring, but you don't. The spring sits right inside of there. It goes this direction. Okay, we'll do the intermediate clutch one. If you remember, this had a broken spring in it. We got a new one. Want to lube everything up really good. And install the O-rings there and there. Get white one down first. Again, to get everything lined up a little easier, just like so. The other spring on top. Okay, I got my cap. What I do is I take a bar right on top, and I push it down and install the snap ring just like so. All right, next we'll put the plug in, and on the plug there are two little rings. One there and one there. Put some lube all the way around on this plug, and we'll set this right down inside. And it only goes one way. You see it's got a little notch right there that'll hold it in place. Now I got my valve body here. What I need to do is put the gasket on this side, and I just take a little bit of assembly lube just to make it tacky. And then I set my gasket right on like that so it won't move around. You got your alignment pins that'll hold it in place. And we'll set this down on here. And those same alignment holes will go in here and align everything together. Okay. Now if you notice, the valve body goes over the top of this, so you have to put this in before you do your valve body. Because if you put your valve body in, you won't be able to get this off to take everything back apart. Now I'll put a little lube. This is for my TCC and my shift solenoids. We've got brand new ones, as always. TCC goes in first because the shift solenoids go over the top of the TCC. We'll put that down. This will have a 10mm headed bolt to hold this down. We'll put this down. You can put the solenoids on before you put the valve body down. I just did it this way for some reason. Oh, and then torque these down to specs. Now you've got your valve body bolts. You'll have a short and a long. The short go down on the aluminum, the longer ones go up on this plate. We'll get all these in. Now the long one for here will have the retainer to hold your EPC in place. Don't forget that, because or your EPC will blow out and you'll lose all your pressure. Okay, just like any other one, you want to run these down with your speed handle first. I kind of work my way in and around. You never ever want to use a pneumatic gun or an electric gun to put these down. You will over tighten these. These are very, very finicky for over tightening. So you want to put all these down and then torque them to specs. After they're put down, you want to put these, torque them. They go to between 130 and 110. So we will put these at 120 inch-pounds. And we will slowly tighten these bolts down, working my way from the inside to the out. Now with that, we'll put our little clips on. Now on the 475, they have a hardened wiring clip. That clips these down. That one's backwards. Temperature sensor goes right there. Well, some time has passed. They gave me the wrong one. I had to go get it changed out. So this is a different one. That actually, right, they gave me a later one. So we got a new one in there. Now on the 475s, they will have a hard wire style. Not these soft wires will have hard wire. I'm going to probably splice in a picture of it so you can see. Now that this is in, we'll put our filter in. Just like so. Then we'll get our pan on. Alright, with our pan, we'll get our gasket on. And a customer bought this nice big aluminum one, so we'll install that. It'll take me a minute to put all the washers and stuff on, so give me a minute for that. Okay, now that I've got all my Allens and my washers, again, just like any of them, I will take these down and then tighten them up with a torque wrench. Is that one stripped? Looks like that one's stripped. Looks like we're going to have to do a helicoil. Now I got to take all these back out again. Now, as you can see, we've got a bolt and all the threads are gone, so we'll have to helicoil it. I'll show you how to do that. Something good to know anyway. I'm going to do is put it up on its nose. I'll show you that, and then I'll zoom in and show you how to fix this. Now what I've done is I've got this sitting on its nose, so when I drill, all the aluminum will go down on the ground, and I will put a box underneath it to catch it. Now what you want to do is, depending on what size of helicoil you're doing, the helicoil itself will tell you what size to drill the hole out to. And then you want to drill it out completely. And your helicoil will come with a large tap like this, a larger than normal tap than the threads, and you will slowly want to turn this in. Since this is aluminum, it cuts really easy. If this was steel, I would be putting some cutting oil. I should probably put some cutting oil on this anyway. But you want to screw this down until you get in there. Alright. Take this out. Just blow this. All the loose aluminum out. Now what you've actually done is this was originally an 8 by 125 millimeter thread. Now this is a 10 by 125. And what you're doing, put a little Loctite in there to hold it in place. What you're doing is adding new threads that are still. So you take your little insert and you turn your brand new threads in. You want to take your new still threads and take it just below the top of that. Now we'll double check. It's one of the bolts. And now we've got new threads. Now on these helicoils, if you look at the very, very bottom, it's got this little tang here that you put on the installer to help put this into the hole you've just done. What you need to do is you need to knock this little piece off. So you take a punch and you just tap it through it comes right out. Put our pan back on. Now that we've got new threads, we'll get all these going. Take all these down and then we'll torque them to specs. And like the valve body, these are to 110 to 130 inch-pounds. We'll do 120. All right, got that down. Notice there's a big hole. There's a hole right here. They gave me a plug. This is probably for an AOD, because the AOD bolt holes would be in a different spot. They gave me a little plug. I'm going to put some thread sealant on it. And then I will install this in the hole because I can see inside the transmission assembly. And I'm not going to torque this because this is going to push on the gasket. I'm just going to put it down snug. Now on the back has a drain plug. Gives you a plug that has a magnet on the end of it and a washer. We'll put that down. And I read the specs and they said it was 110 to 130, just like the pan. So we will torque this to 120 inch-pounds. And find the socket right off the bat. Right there. Okay, I've got my tranny up on my bench. All I gotta do is put the tail housing on it. I am putting this aftermarket one in since they're putting it in a different vehicle, and this is the adapter he wants for his transfer case. This would be the stock one you'd put on. But you can usually just set the gasket. It's got a little lip here. Sometimes it'll hold it. And the bolts. Get this started in here. Lightly put it down with my electric gun, and then I'll torque it. once I get all the bolts in. I'll just lightly put it down with my cordless here. Fun to get in. Wow. Alright. These get torqued the same as the pump. 20 foot-pounds. Again, go around star pattern, it's like you would a tire. There is our 4R70. You can use the same thing for a 4R75 and AODE. Hope I helped you out with a few things, and I hope you enjoyed these videos that I'm doing. Thank you very much, and we'll see you next time.